Jews have been storytellers for over 3,000 years.
But what does Jewish storytelling look like today?
I'm Stephen Smith.
And I'm Heather Smith.
Welcome to Our Jewish Story, the podcast where we explore the traditions of Jewish narrative, why capturing contemporary stories matters now more than ever. We also share voices from the Our Jewish Story archive.
Real people, real stories, the full mosaic of Jewish life.
This is Our Jewish Story. So, let's get started. Our Jewish Story is a global archive of, Jewish stories. Now, you might assume that we're searching for the most dramatic stories, the daring escapes, the famous ancestors, the Jewish woman who had 7 daughters who married 7 rabbis, each of whom had 7 sons. And yes, we do want those stories too. But at the heart of Our Jewish Story is not the extraordinary. It's the everyday. The choices your grandmother made about which traditions to keep and which to let go. The reason your family serves that particular dish on a Friday night. The moment that someone decided to stay, or to leave, or to return. What makes this archive powerful isn't any single remarkable tale. It's the understanding of who we are in aggregate, across thousands of voices, each one unique in its own quiet way. Now here's the secret to this. It only works with broad participation. Not just the community leaders, not the people who usually get asked, not just the families with the most dramatic histories, not the influencer or the filmmaker or the rabbi or the author. Of course, we want to hear from all of them. But what we also need is the accountant who lights candles every Friday night, but maybe hasn't been to synagogue for years. The convert who chose this life, Judaism by choice. The teenager figuring out what Jewish identity means to them. The elderly woman who remembers a world that no longer exists. Now, every community has official spokespeople. Our Jewish Story needs unofficial ones too. The people whose stories have never been formally heard or perhaps never will be if they don't capture them now. Now, to make this happen, every community needs a convener. It might be a federation, a synagogue, a JCC, a historical society, or simply an individual with the passion and connections to bring people together. The convener doesn't collect every story themselves. They create the conditions for the stories to be collected by others. Now, their first task is a mapping exercise. Sitting down and saying, who actually makes up this community? Not just the institutions, but the people. Where are the Russian immigrants, the Sephardi families, the young professionals, the interfaith households, the unaffiliated Jews who still identify with their heritage? Knowing where they are, finding them, and bringing them together is part of convening. Map in hand, we recommend 2 gatherings. The first is a community storytelling event. This could be, for example, an evening where people who are identified on the roadmap are invited to experience what Jewish storytelling can be, to inspire them to give their stories and tell them to their community. During that event, they might hear examples, perhaps from the archive itself, or meet someone who's done an interview with Our Jewish Story. They begin to understand why this matters, and most importantly, they're invited to participate either as storytellers or as volunteers. The second event is a workshop for professionals. We'll bring together staff accompanied by lay leaders from organizations across the community, perhaps from our synagogues and schools, social services and senior centers, and we'll train them in the art of interviewing. We'll help them understand what makes a story worth preserving and how to draw it out with care. The goal is to build a local team, not one person doing everything, but a network. Because for Our Jewish Story to be effective, we need organizers to coordinate interviewers to conduct the conversations. and if possible, volunteers to help handle logistics, and others who want to participate to make it all happen. Now, at the heart of this are the organizations themselves, who need to recognize the intrinsic value of Jewish storytelling in the first place, and then become willing to promote the project to their own community, and that might just be on you. Now, the interviews themselves are very simple, but they are profound. We ask about family origins and migrations, about traditions kept, those adapted and those abandoned. We ask about food and holidays and the small rituals that make Jewish life what it is today, about choices, why someone stayed observant or drifted away, why they married who they married, why they live where they live, and what their Jewish life is like there. We ask about the community, what draws somebody in, what pushes them away, what do they hope their grandchildren will remember. Now, just bear in mind, these are not interrogations, they're beautiful, flowing conversations between two people. Most run 45 to 90 minutes. The interviewer's job is to listen, to follow the thread of what matters to each person, and to capture something true, something unique about each person. When a community commits to this process, something remarkable emerges. What we end up with is a portrait made up of many, many brushstrokes, young and old, religious and secular, the families who've been there for generations and the ones who arrived last year. The voices that usually dominate and the ones that are rarely heard at all. The whispers that are all around us. Now, this portrait belongs to the community. It's a resource for educators, for historians, for anyone trying to understand what Jewish life is like in this particular place and at this particular time. That's your place and your time. It then joins a larger tapestry. Thousands of stories from communities all around the world, together forming something unprecedented. A living record of Jewish experience in our time, told in our voices. Every Jewish community has a story, and yours is waiting to be told. So if you're ready to become a convener, or if you want to help build a team and preserve our community's voice, we're here to help you begin. After all, this is our Jewish story, and it's not complete without yours. Because our Jewish story is made up of many stories, but just one Jewish people.